大家好。Punggol khu的南边。Punggol khu的南边，加拿大朋友，大家好。大家補選、大選 ，BAP 特別出真濟 pattern， 真濟怪招，真濟人才。做這個補選的 BAP 出濟人才啦，吼。有的人才是舊的，有的人才是新的啦，有的唔知倒落來的。這個 BAP 的候選人，老家參加 BAP 敢2禮拜啊3禮拜爾啦，吼。不過咧，伊是一個醫生，伊做醫生是袂歹啦，做醫生是救人。BAP 不過醫生參加 BAP 較濟是氣死人。BAP 內面真濟，國會內面真濟醫生咯，是無？伊有幫忙你無？做氣死人啦。做這個26號，免想較濟啦吼，投工人黨一票。上立聯入國會，你免煩惱啦。這個醫生呢會轉來的，因為 BAP 哪有這個 BA 吼，伊會叫伊轉來做這道的 RC 的顧問啦。所以你逐個什麼日子、大日子，你會看到伊的相啦，伊的什麼吼，什麼唐人街、番仔街、印度街，聖誕節伊會轉來的，所以你免煩惱。所以請你投工人黨一票，上立聯入國會。即擺互我用按摩來甲你演講，會使無 ？Dear voters of Punggol East, supporters of Workers' Party, good evening. Let me read something to you. It may sound familiar. In my family, we eat a lot of fruits. My wife does the marketing in a market nearby. Most of the time, she buys from the same fruit seller. This has been so for many years. My fruit seller makes suggestions. Try this apple from South Africa. Try the dragon fruit from Malaysia. Try the dates from China. They are in season. Sometimes his recommendation bomb out. What is supposed to be sweet turns out to be sour. My wife will tell him firmly. That way he will not take our business for granted and betray our trust. Can you remember that? I've just read the beginning part of Mr. Korbunwan's speech for the Hougang by-election in 2012. The PAP chairman in that speech likened the Workers' Party to a dishonest fruit seller. He probably never knew that his speech can be used again in this by-election, but not by the same party. It seems like just yesterday, I was standing here asking you to vote for me in a by-election. Back then, the people of Hougang put their faith in the Workers' Party and me, and we successfully defended our seat in Parliament. Tonight, I stand before you on this rally stage once again, asking you, the voters of Punggol East, put your faith in the Workers' Party and send Li Lilian into Parliament. The headlines in one of the newspapers today say the government is delivering on its general election promises. It says it will keep its word, and he has already moved ahead on housing, transport, education, and healthcare. The way I see it, this government is just trying to rectify all these problems which the people had highlighted to them in the past, but to no avail until the voters of Aljunied decided to give the PAP a tight slap. And it was a good slap, because the Aljunied slap, I call it Aljunied slap, in 2011 even pushed the PAP to start a national conversation to engage Singaporeans in a heart-to-heart talk. But we are dealing with an elitist government. It is not easy to make them sit up and listen to you unless election is near. Did we not tell the government that there were not enough flats, new flats, when Mr. Ma Paotan was in charge? And when the current national minister said that one of the reasons for the current pent-up demand and market imbalance for residential flats is caused by underbuilding in the past, it just makes you shake your head in disbelief. Since 2011, have you found it easier and cheaper to move around by public transport? To buy a small car for your family? To find a roof over your head? To bring up your children and to pay for their education and care? Just this month, COE have risen yet again. COE prices for small cars smashed the previous record set in December last year. It practically doubled from 46,000 in May 2011 to 92,000 this month. And a few months after the 2011 general election, there was a bus and MRT fare increase. There were also hefty fare hikes for taxi at the end of 2011, which took place just as Singaporeans were struggling to get home in the midst of massive train breakdowns. And to top it all, our transport minister said last December that there will be another public transport fare review this year. Is the government listening to you at all? A Straits Times report found that the average cost for full-day infant care now stands at $1,318 a month, a 14% increase from 2007. HDB resale price index rose 2.5% in the fourth quarter, the highest increase in 2012. And just a week ago, the government introduced the 7th round of cooling measure to slow down runaway property prices for both private and public housing. Something is fundamentally wrong when a government needs to introduce cooling measure for public housing. Is the government listening to you at all? The Workers' Party has spoken up on this rising cost of living. On the topic of possible bus fare hike, the Workers' Party said, commuters should not be expected to pay higher fares, especially when service standards remain unsatisfactory, as they have been since the last fare hike. The government and the public transport operators must put public interest before shareholder interest. Do MRT, SMRT and SBS Transit need a bus fare to remain viable? The local operators of Comfort Delgro, which runs SBS Transit, ended 2011 with an operating profit of about $240 million. SMRT had an operating profit of almost $150 million. Both companies are very profitable. There is no reason for them to raise bus fare. On childcare, Mr. Yee Zhen-jong filed an adjournment motion in Parliament in September last year, where he outlined the high infant care costs that Singaporeans' parents are facing. He called for childcare to be a public good, with tighter control of fees and quality by the government, but cheaper rental overall for all operators. Recently, the government announced it is reviewing the affordability of infant care. Had our unit not stood up to tell the PAP government that enough is enough, would there be any policy review at all? Will there be building more new homes for your children? Will they ever acknowledge that our infrastructure is not built to cater for our ridiculous population growth in recent years? One more Worker Party's MP in Parliament means one more set of eyes to scrutinize our government, and one extra voice to speak out against policy that hurts Singaporeans. Having one more Workers' Party MP sends a powerful message to the PAP that all is still not well, all is still not forgotten, and all is still not fixed. The PAP government will still have 80 seats in parliament without Punggol East. It will still control and run your life as it chooses. But if the people of Punggol East decide to make a stand on 26 January and vote for the Workers' Party, it will signal to the government that we, the citizens of Singapore, have a strong desire to safeguard our future and the future of our children. And we want this government to take note of that when they plan to grow our population through immigration. The Aljunied slap is not the end, but only the beginning. The voice of the people cannot be silenced anymore. The Hougang by-election result says it all, that the march toward the First World Parliament cannot be stopped. Voters of Punggol East, will you join us and write a new chapter in the history of Singapore? A Singapore that you can be proud of, and a Singapore that your children will come home to no matter where they are. The Workers' Party will serve you wholeheartedly. The Workers' Party will also manage your estate diligently. And the Workers' Party will also stand up for your rights constantly, just as Lee Li Lian has said in her nomination speech. These are not grand statements to score political points. These are promises that we have kept in Anson, in Hougang, and in Aljunied. I told Lee Li Lian I can smell Punggol East from Hougang. And the smell is sweet. Voters of Punggol East, vote Workers' Party, vote for Lee Li Lian. Thank you.